Huge news for the Indiana Fever. And it's a big one. It is a big one because Kelly Kouskroff is looking like a competent basketball person after Lindon. After whatever the hell Lindon was doing. Like, I don't even know how to describe what Lindon was doing in general. Like, I just don't know how to describe it. Like, what she did to the Indiana Fever as far as her basketball decisions. She made 2 correct basketball decisions in 3 years. And those 2 correct decisions were drafting Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston. The no-brainer number 1 overall picks in both drafts. And I still stand by the fact that I reckon if she was allowed to make her own decision, she would have drafted Camila Cardoso. I'm fully convinced by the way that like the team wanted to play and everything with them getting the number 1 pick. I would say she probably half wished she didn't get the number 1 overall pick so that she could have drafted Camila Cardoso. But again, that's just me speculating. There's no rhyme or reason. Well, there's not. Based on what we've heard, there is a bit of logic to that, especially early on. Maybe when they figured it out, but like early on, I think, they wanted to run more big lineup, and Cardoso and Boston would have been able to do that. But anyway, Kelly Kouskroff is currently in France. You see here, Fever president Kelly Kouskroff is in Paris. She's in Paris, and I'm told she's been active on the phones. Fever need to send a recruiter to Miami. Do they know if the manager is supposed to meet with some free agents? Fun fact, their previous equipment manager now holds a position for unrivaled. Tell the Fever to sign Janelle Salone. Like, Janelle Salone would be the perfect player. I love how people are tagging like Kelly Kouskroff in this. Everyone knows who Janelle Salone is. She was a starter for the French team in the Olympics. Her brother is an NBA player, and she decided this season France but to play in Italy so that she doesn't get screwed by prioritization rules. Everybody know we don't need to tag. We literally don't need to tag Kelly Kouskroff with Janelle Salone. There's no way they haven't contacted her agent. And for people being like, oh, Janelle Salone's in like Italy, but you just, and it's funny, people are like, she's like, they're looking for Janelle Salone. It's like, she plays in Italy. She plays in Italy. Unless, is she playing in Paris, in France? In the next while, she might be. But she plays in Italy so that she doesn't get screwed for prioritization rules. And then look, I'd say she's probably looking at Aisha Sivka as well for potentially to use the 8th pick on. Because if you're smart, you're scouting Aisha Sivka because you have to at least consider getting the best long-term prospect, even if she doesn't come over in 2025. Because it's not the end of the world if you have to wait for someone to come over, like a Leonie Fibic. But why weren't any Fever players in Paris or the Pacers game? Because there is one Fever player, and I mean this, one Fever player that's not playing in Unrivaled or overseas, and her name is Caitlin Clark. Kind of wish Caitlin Clark had popped up in Paris. No, she's working out. Ask Kelly if she knows how Janelle Salone likes her Fever price. But like, this is a big one. Big. Like, someone said, I got ideas for the bench. Wonder the Fever lad. Look, I'm not going to lie. If this was Lynn Dunn, I would convince Lynn Dunn is not even looking overseas. But Kelly Kouskroff looks like a competent GM, you know. Because like you know for a fact, every NBA team is looking overseas. Because that's where you can get some supreme value. Like getting a Gershon Yabusele for basically a league minimum. Like, if you can find a gem from overseas, whether they be young or old, you can potentially get somebody who's extremely underpaid for what they do and elite. So obviously, Kelly Kouskroff is somebody that's probably been in Pacers meetings where they've been scouting overseas players, so she's going to go and do it herself. Because if you guys like think about the NBA 20 years ago, the value of the overseas player, like you would bring over like a ready-made player like a Luis Scola playing on a rookie deal contract. And you were really doing that a lot. Teams were finding all-star-ish level guys. Maybe not all-star, but like not far off it. Starting level guys on the cheap for free back in the day before the major scouting. The teams that were ahead of the curve really took advantage of it. So I do think being ahead of the curve on European players is huge. think that will be huge for Indiana Fever. And again, look, they're hiring somebody whose job it is basically scout overseas. Like, that is what these players' jobs are. And look, it's always, and you always trust your own eyes, but there are sometimes you're like, you know what, trust the backroom staff. And there was no reason to trust Lynn Dunn. Lynn Dunn had two perfect players. People are like, oh, who do you need to fill the power forward position if you're the Fever? There are two absolutely perfect slots. Alana Smith would be the perfect player, or Emily Engsler. Emily Engsler can play a bit at the 5, rebounds well, is a really good shooter, and is just tough. Both of them played for the Indiana Fever, and both of them got cut by Lynn Dunn. Like, Lynn Dunn's talent evaluation was not great. Like, outside of Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark, they had 4 top 6 picks from 2022 and 2021. They drafted Kaiser Gondresick. Like, heck, like, there's a whole thing for that. Like, the Indiana Fever in 2019 drafted Tiara McCowan over Nafisa Collier and Arike Agumbawale. They drafted Kaiser Gondresick in 2021. But at the same time, 2021 was a god-awful draft, so I'm not going to hold that too much against them. In 2022, they had 3 top 6 picks. Took Nalissa Smith over Shakira Austin, who when healthy is much better. They then took Engsler and Cutter and took Lexi Hull, who until post-Olympic break was like this close to being out of the league, with the 6th pick. So if you're the Fever, like if you're Lynn Dunn, just horrific basketball decisions. At least you can't blame Lynn Dunn for the Kaiser Gondresick pick. But yeah, like I trust the fact that she's in France. I would assume, like, said I wonder if who the Fever will add. Tell the Fever to sign Janelle Salone. Everybody know, like literally all 13 WNBA teams. If you are a WNBA GM and you are not trying to convince Janelle Salone to come to your team, you should be fired. I mean that. There are very few players that will fit all 13 teams. She's one of them. So a lot of people like convince her to go to Fever. It's like, I think a lot of teams are going to be looking for her. And maybe if the Fever, I've said this, is like, if the Fever could swing if the Fever strike out on Saturday, which they're going to do, and they could swing Gabby Williams deal, like, you're then looking now at the Fever potentially getting Gabby Williams, Janelle Salone, and who knows if Maureen Johannes wants to come back and then play with Gabby Williams, because the rumor is they might be a package deal. Like, if you could somehow get Maureen Johannes to come off the bench, like, you're then looking at a championship team. A championship level team, to be honest. But anyway, that's quite a far-fetched thing to happen. It's probably not going to happen. Either way, it's good to see her being overseas. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.